Is this the podcast? Are we doing this? All right. I'm here with John Howe yet again.
Yeah.
This is Roadmap to Retirement. Tune in for financial tips, investment strategies, and smart money moves to supercharge your retirement savings. Alex Neri, CFP, and guests are here to help you build your roadmap to retirement.
Welcome back, John.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
All right. You were just asking me off camera about a whole lot of things. So I figured we should start recording, and here we go.
Yeah, sure.
So
Absolutely.
what are we talking about? You have some good ideas.
I was thinking that maybe we could talk about how you go about the decision-making process for things small, things large, and then just see where the conversation goes from there.
Okay. Are we talking career stuff or client perspective?
Career stuff.
Both. Let's do both.
Let's do both. Let's make it interesting for the clients and for the other advisors or other professionals that are listening.
Yeah. So let's just have a very honest, open conversation. This is my last day recording a podcast in the 6 Point studio here.
Wow.
Which is exciting. So this will be released after it's official. So I guess I can talk freely.
Nice.
So I'm leaving 6 Point Financial Partners. The reason for that is I was approached about 6 months ago by an advisor who's looking to retire and get out. It's not something I was looking to do, but it's an opportunity that was too good to pass up. Friday will be my last day here. And the next time people listen to our podcast, you'll see a different background. We don't know exactly what it'll look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the decision-making process. So I guess I would start by saying this isn't something that I was looking to do, which I've already said. I've been at 6 Point for 7 years now. I've had a great time. It sounds cheesy, but I get to work with some of my best friends every day. Like the other people in this firm I've known for a long time and enjoy working with them, enjoy talking with them outside of work as well. So it's a little bittersweet to leave, but it's an opportunity, like I said, that kind of hit me in the face. And from a business perspective, when you get the opportunity to quickly grow your business by quite a bit, I think it would be a mistake not to take it. So when I was first approached by this individual, and I think I'll leave his name out of this because I don't know how much he wants this attention, but when I was first approached, I got a phone call from him, and it was very just honest. He said, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking to do. I'm looking for a younger person to come in and work with my clients going forward. And I'm looking for somebody that was open to that opportunity and meets my standards. And I give him a lot of credit right off the bat because he had standards. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people who are looking to retire in our business will just sell to the highest bidder, and that's what they're looking to do. He was very structured about what he was looking for. He wanted somebody that had years of experience and knew what they were doing, who had already built a business and had that experience. He wanted somebody that was a CFP already. So I am a CFP. Check that box.
Nice.
And he wanted somebody that had enough runway, which is the term he used, but enough time left in their career where it wouldn't be like he sells to somebody and then 5 years later that person's retiring and his clients are left high and dry. So I think I'm at the perfect spot in my career where I'm 33 years old. I'm 12 years into my career. So I have the experience necessary, but also I'm probably not going to retire myself for a little while here. So I have that runway. So I guess I went to his office for the first meeting. Again, phone call, sure, let's talk Monday. Went into his office on a Monday evening. And I went in there thinking it wouldn't turn into anything. It was just, I'll go hear this guy out, see what he's all about. Yeah. It'd be stupid not to. So went to the office. We ended up having a 3-hour conversation that I think went really well. And he wanted to still talk to me. So it must have gone well from his perspective too. And I left there thinking, I might need to do this. And my impression of him was he is very well organized, which you're in the business, so you know this, but a lot of advisors, they get to the end of their career, they are half retired already. They spent half the year in Florida. They don't know where anything is. They've got literally a filing cabinet full of mess from 30 years of industry experience, and the young person comes in and they've got the headache right away of getting organized. This individual is very organized, or seemed very organized from what you can tell in the first meeting. He also had his CFP, so he took a similar approach to planning, which I think is important, that he is planning focused. Mm-hmm. So that was enough in the first meeting to think, okay, I need to take this serious and not just say, I don't feel like moving firms. I'm not going to deal with this. So anyway, the first meeting, and then we ended up meeting for kind of a more casual meeting, probably a week or two later, grabbed a beer and I had a list of questions at that point, which I think impressed him, that I sat down at the booth at the restaurant we were at and said, okay, here's front and back a full page and a half of questions and details. And I think if anyone listening to this has an opportunity similar, you will generally impress the other advisor by going and organize with a list of questions. So I could ramble for hours about this, but that's how it started. And this was back in November, so now it's almost May. So it's been 6 months of going back and forth to make sure that we were both serious about it.
Yeah.
Before going through what I'm about to go through, which is, it's a pain. I'm going to have to move all my clients from firm A to firm B. That's not fun. Anybody that's gone through that, it's a headache, but it's a business opportunity that I needed to take.
Yeah.
So your original question was about how I make decisions.
Yeah,
That's some of it.
that's great. And then I guess my follow-up question would be, so you were talking about how every day here you get to work with some of your best friends. How do you overcome the feeling that maybe you'll be missing that when you take this next step?
Yeah, I think for this one, it's very convenient that people listening to this might not know where we're located, but literally like 100 yards down the road happens to be this individual's office. So I'm not moving far, which also in the decision-making process, it's okay, I've got to go have this conversation with my clients about how I'm changing firms.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's selfish reasons, right? This is me growing my firm. It doesn't necessarily directly benefit my clients. It's not worse, but I don't know if it's better. It's similar. So one of the things that I have on my side is I don't have to tell them that I'm going to be 20 minutes further away or in a different direction. I'm literally across the same office complex. So next time they come to meet me in my office, it's hopefully not any less convenient.
Yeah.
So that's helped. But as far as like the personal aspect of leaving the people I've worked with every day, they're close by. We can still grab a beer and hang out. And I'm fortunate to be in a situation where like none of this had to be secretive. If you're leaving a large firm, a wirehouse, an insurance broker dealer, something like that,
Yeah.
the culture or industry is that if they find out, they sniff out that you might be leaving, they're going to terminate you on the spot and try to prevent you from taking your clients with you and all that. I'm in a situation where I've been able to be very transparent. I own my book of business. I own those relationships. So my clients are free to come with me when I leave. There's nobody competing with me to retain the business here. So that all played a role in making it a little bit easier, but still a headache. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mean to be interviewing you.
It's kind of
about
fun.
this. It's fun.
I usually do this backwards. Usually I'm interviewing you. So
Yeah, this is
let it
kind of,
rip. I'll turn it on you in a minute.
Okay,
So.
fantastic. So I guess one of my questions that popped up when you were just talking about that is autonomy. So it sounds like you've done the work to create a situation in which you are largely autonomous. You have the ability to take your clients with you. You can identify the planning structure that you like. You can go towards that. Can you talk a little bit about the difference in kind of how some advisory firms are structured from an autonomy standpoint and how you value autonomy in your career?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for the independent financial advisor model. I think a lot of people listening to this are probably financial advisors themselves, so maybe I don't need to explain it too much, but I started off in the insurance broker dealer world. So in that world, you were told which products you can use. You're told which software you can use for planning. If you choose to leave and do something else like I am, they are going to send you a cease and desist letter. They're going to tell you that you have a non-compete, that you can't take those clients. Even though you brought those clients into the firm, they're not your clients if you leave. The second you leave that firm, you're going to have some 22-year-old new college grad on the phone calling and saying, hey, Alex doesn't work here anymore. I'm your new advisor. By the way, I don't know what happened to him. It sounds sketchy. You better not talk to him. That's a shot that's deserved. So as far as autonomy, though, I think if you are any kind of business owner, professional, you want to be able to build it your way. With this new opportunity, we're going to be able to build a brand, which we're not quite ready to announce, but you'll see it by the time this is out.
Yeah.
We're going to have a brand. We'll have our own website. My planning process is still the same, but I have control over how that works. And the value from the client perspective in the independent model is I don't have anybody in my ear telling me that I need to hit a sales quota or use a certain product or even bring in a certain amount of new clients. Because at some point, if you've got X amount of clients, you don't need to be bringing in more. You don't want to be a situation where you've got 1,000 clients and your firm's telling you need to bring in 50 new ones next year. At some point, that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about the demands on your time with this transition? Do you feel like there's going to be different demands on your time, or it's going to mostly feel the same for you from a personal standpoint?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I had this conversation with the guy who I'll be working with of, okay, I've got however many clients and he's got however many clients. And eventually when he retires, he's not in the picture. I'll have more people to deal with. So how many people can you deal with? How many people can you service as an advisor? I can tell you to this point in my career, I don't feel overwhelmed at all. I think that I can serve the people I have. I think that I have capacity to serve more. And I think the right way to do that is you build a team around you that makes that possible. If I was trying to do everything myself, I don't know if I could service the clients I have now because I have 2 admin on staff that help me with different things. I'm able to do more. My goal as an advisor is to always just only do the things that only I can do. Sounds cheesy and I didn't come up with it.
Yeah.
But if you think about all the things that need to happen in a financial firm, you as the owner / advisor are the only one that maybe can be talking with the clients about their financial plan or their portfolio. But you can have somebody else who's calling to schedule the meetings. You can have somebody else that's answering the phone to deal with one-off questions about, oh, I'm looking for this tax form or this statement. Can you help me? So you can allow yourself to give up control and let somebody else do it or empower somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of advisors struggle with that. They get in this mindset of, I'm the advisor, I'm the only one that can help with this and this. And the reality is there are a lot of things that other people can do. Everybody's replaceable. Me especially.
Yeah,
very
well,
replaceable.
especially you. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What are you most looking forward to in the transition?
And nothing about the transition.
I guess post-transition.
Yeah, I think being done with the transition is something to look forward to. To pull the curtains back a little bit, and you know how this works, but people haven't been through this. There's a lot of information goes into it. Like preparing for the transition has been several weekends in the office already at this point, and a lot of people don't want to do that. Fortunately, being in a situation like I don't have kids, I don't have a lot of responsibility outside of work, which is good. So I was able to sacrifice a couple of Saturdays and Sundays to prepare myself for the transition. If you're not able to do that, it gets harder. As far as I'm looking forward to, I am looking forward to building my own brand. I've been part of building the 6 Point brand for 7 years now, and I've gotten to do it with other great people as well. This kind of fresh start will be more so my brand, it is mine.
Yeah.
So I think having that is an opportunity from a marketing perspective and just to have my baby, if you will. I think that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to the challenge of working with more clients and scaling a business. I think having the extra revenue coming in allows me to hire more people and build that model that I envision, which is having, again, me doing only things that only I can do.
Yeah.
And building a better team around that. That probably won't happen right away, but as we get through the transition, there'll be an opportunity to do that.
That's fair. That's fair. When in your career did you realize that building your baby would be something that would be interesting to you? Because not everyone feels that way, right? Like some people, they just want to plug into something that exists and they're very happy with that. So when would you say that you got interested in that?
Yeah, I've always liked doing things my own way. Default, maybe.
No, not you.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. Like even early in my career, I think about starting out at AXA. You come in as a 22-year-old and there's a way they want you to do that. And there's a reason. They have a proven method. They've seen other advisors be successful doing it. And even little things like we had call night. So we had every Thursday night, you had to be in the office from, I think it was like 6 to 8, calling people, which sounds a little old school now, but calling your leads, doing cold calls, whatever it was to fill that 2-hour block. And I hated having somebody tell me that I needed to be there for that set period of time. Like I needed no motivation. Like I was going to make the calls. I was going to fill my calendar. I was going to find a way to be successful, which sounds really arrogant to say, but I was going to do that.
Yeah.
And having some manager tell me that I needed to be there from 6 to 8 to do that just pissed me off.
Sure.
Excuse my French. So I think I've always wanted to do things my way.
Yeah.
And as you progress in your career, you get more opportunities to do that. When you're 22, you don't really have a realistic opportunity to go out there and build your own firm or build whatever brand. I had to go through that 4-year period where I was putting up with the access structure. And then I had the opportunity because of the guys that I work with here, really, because of I had partnered with some advisors that were 10, 12 years older than me and saw potential in me and dragged me along when they left. I had an opportunity to get into the independent space at a very young age and grow since there. So it's, as much as I say something arrogant about how I was going to be successful either way, I've also been very fortunate in my career to have people that help me along. I don't think anybody truly does it on their own.
Yeah.
I forgot what your original question was. How'd I do?
No, I think you did. I think you did a great job.
It's very nice of you to say that.
I'm always going to compliment you. So yeah, I had a similar experience when I was early career. I spent 7 years at a wirehouse. And there was no real conversation. There were every now and then the team that I was working with would have a conversation about going independent or using the wirehouse's version of independence. But other than that, it never really occurred to me until I started learning more about our industry in general and the different formats. I didn't even have the vocabulary to express what the other formats of working in this industry were. I just knew what I was doing, because when you're in that silo, they make it seem like that's the only choice. Like compliance is too much of an overwhelming thing for you to ever consider anywhere else other than a place where 60% of your revenue goes to making sure that there's 50 compliance people and 100 managers and like all this stuff, right? So then I think when you start to realize that there are more options than just being in a broker dealer. And by the way, most broker dealers, most places like where we started our careers are very restrictive on what you can do from like a social media standpoint, from a website standpoint. So the creativity is very stifled there. And then when you start realizing that the independent space exists if you have any interest at all in becoming someone who, or being someone who has a desire to create something from scratch, or to create something that's in line with your personal values, it starts to become exciting because you realize that it's a possibility, and it's almost a slippery slope. I remember starting to listen to the Kidsies podcasts and being like, okay, so what are these people even talking about? Because I had no context.
It's a red pill moment.
It really is.
Yeah. If you don't, go watch The Matrix and then pause right here, go watch The Matrix and come back.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being like, again, that 22-year-old starting at AXA. And actually right around the time when I started, there were a few other advisors who'd been there, I don't know, 10 or so years that left to go independent. And I remember the response from people in the office, or like the way that it was talked about, or the rumors or whatever, it was like, oh, why would they ever do that? Right. What an idiot. Like, he had 1,000 clients here and he only brought 200 with them. And as like a young advisor, you're like, oh my God, he screwed up. And then now you're like, yeah, he only wanted 200 of those 1,000 clients. Nobody wants 1,000 clients.
Right.
Like, he took the 200 good ones, left the other 800 behind. He's doing better in making more money, dealing with less people, getting a higher payout, of course, being able to market and do things like, it's obvious once you see it. And I talk to young advisors still who are starting out in one of those places. And it seems like a lot of them know way more than I did then, because the internet's just different than it was in 2014, which is crazy, because I thought we had internet in 2014. But all of a sudden there's more on it.
Yeah.
So like they either know that and they're like at one of these places and they're like, oh, I got to get out of here. I shouldn't be here. I read this online and it's terrible. And like, they're right. But also I think if they put their head down, it'll be better for them. And I also talk to people that are at one of those places and they're drinking the Kool-Aid just like I did. And they're saying, this is awesome. This is a great opportunity here. And they're right to an extent. But I think eventually they get red pilled also. And if you follow them on LinkedIn 4 or 5 years from now, they'll be doing something different. And good for them. They should, but you can't rush it.
Yeah, I don't think that the wirehouses are at any risk of going out of business.
I don't think so either. I think you can tell me, is the culture within the wirehouse different? Like, I guess they probably both have their share of Kool-Aid, but I think the wirehouse does it on a better level. Like, the insurance broker dealer new person is going after the 30-year-old that has $50,000 in their old 401k and they're going to roll over to an annuity so they can get paid.
Right.
Or at least the wirehouse is focusing more on an affluent crowd that needs certain services, which isn't better. Like, we want to be able to make financial planning accessible to everybody, but I think the wirehouse at least does it in a slightly more legitimate way.
Yeah.
It seems less predatory. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say so. I can't remember ever being like our team being mandated to have proprietary products or hit particular insurance quotas or anything like that.
You never want to cruise or selling more.
No,
okay.
No.
One of us.
And I will say too that maybe my experience was unique because I was positioned on a team already as an assistant to begin with and then worked my way up. The experience, I will say, was it was almost to the point where some of the advisors who worked in the office, not necessarily my team, not necessarily anyone that we'll name in this podcast, were maybe jaded about working at the wirehouse. And they were at the wirehouse for different reasons, because wirehouses write big checks for you to join them. Wirehouses advertise that they have more flexibility than another wirehouse, when in fact it's largely the same across the board. Or they promote particular structures like team structures and things like that might be appealing to people who are only considering working in wirehouse space. But I think that a lot of advisors who aren't early career are burnt out by the wirehouse experience. And if you think about it, it makes good sense, in my opinion, because these are usually later career advisors who have built strong books of business, who have large connections in the area or whatever their target industry is. And but the firm has their hand in the pocket of the advisor to a significant degree. So the advisor has to work essentially double as hard, twice as hard, to earn the same amount of income as they would in the independent space, because that's just how the math works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a critical mass with either I'll say insurance broker dealer or the wirehouse, where if you're starting out and you're new, you can say, okay, it's great because I have training and structure and all that. And if you've been there for 30 years and you have a huge book of business, you can look at it and say, this is great because the way the payout grids work, like I'm getting a 97% payout. Why would I leave? But then there's like this middle tier. If you're between like 5 and 15 years in the business where whatever you're producing 300,000 GDC, which if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. But if you're producing like that mid-tier level, you're getting crushed on your payout. Your payout's not what it should be. And you're either striving to get to that top tier or you leave, because why wouldn't you? But I talk to a lot of people that are very successful at the insurance broker dealer, particularly. They've been there for a long time. Maybe they have a team that they work with and they produce a ton. And again, it's why would I leave? I've got 97% payout. All my clients are already here. My only real headache is compliance is a pain when I want to do something on a marketing front. I've got a new wave of 22-year-olds coming in every 6 months that are annoying when hey, I ran into your client at Wendy's and now they want to work with me. It's okay. You got to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
But,
I will say too, so I'm an RIA, so there's no ability for us to sell insurance or recommend insurance. We can recommend insurance products, but we don't sell them, right? Mm-hmm. I will say that you bringing up working through an insurance brokerage or in the insurance space in general, where the lead is sort of insurance, and there's also financial advising as a kind of added bonus type thing. The revenues produced by selling a lot of those insurance contracts is often high, and which presents another a conflict of interest.
Well, here's the other thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's high up front. And this is what happens from a careers perspective is 22-year-old comes in, they sell a bunch of annuities, they're doing great. They either get burnt out or they want to pivot to doing real financial planning. And although they got that high upfront comp, they don't get any kind of trail or reoccurring income.
Yep.
So they're starting over on January 1st with zero revenue, and they want to make this pivot to being a fee-based or advisor relationship. And they're basically starting over, but they've burnt a lot of relationships. They've burnt a lot of potential leads by sticking them in these products that probably weren't in anyone's best interest.
Yeah.
Can't say that too loud, but probably not the best choice. So now they're starting over, which is back to what I was saying before about these places can be good for people that are starting out with a training model. But at some point to get to like the next level in your career, you've got to abandon what they trained you on and become a real boy. Mm-hmm. Become a real boy. You've got that hurdle of, oh no, I have zero actual revenue.
Yeah. So when would you think that people would come to that conclusion? Is there a pain point? Is there a crossroads in someone's career where you would expect them to start asking those questions?
I guess it's different for everybody. It's probably different now than it was back in the day. For me, I was fortunate that I had great mentorship and people. I got to see the light a little bit earlier than most, I think. But if you're, again, a typical 22-year-old that starts at a firm, you only know what they teach you. And you want to trust your manager and you want to trust the trainee people. And I'm not telling you not to trust them, but if they're only showing you this solution, you don't know about all this other stuff out there. So I think now, though, people, you Google this stuff and you find a lot more. So I think there's a lot more. You mentioned different podcasts, like Michael Kitz's podcast, I think is a great resource where it's hard to listen to that and work at XYZ broker dealer too long before you start to think, maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Not to constantly pick on these people, but.
No, it's fair. So let's tie this back to clients then. How would you recommend that clients go about making the decision about who to work with as a financial advisor?
Yeah, so if they're going in blind, I think a lot of people, they've never worked with an advisor before. They've gotten to a point in their career, running people all the time. They're in their 50s or 60s. They've worked at this employer forever. They're getting ready to retire. They don't know anything other than they've been stocking money to their 401k for 30 or 40 years. And now they're at the point where they need professional guidance, and they recognize they need professional guidance. So they're going out there, and I do a ton of seminars and that kind of thing. Yeah. So usually there's people that are going to the seminar to figure out what they need to do. Of course, that ends up being business for us.
Yeah.
We actually have a list of questions you should ask your advisor, and it's meant for that first meeting because typically people don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you want to know what to ask, let me know. I would be looking, if I were a client, I would be looking for somebody that's in the independent model. And there's conflicts of interest in every model. It's not to say that's perfect, but start there. It's a good start. Independent advisor. I would want to find somebody that has some experience. I would say at least 5 years of experience. I don't want to pick on the young guys too much. And yes, it's convenient that I have more than 10 years of experience now. So I can say at least 10 years of experience. I think realistically, if somebody's been around for 5 years, they have a good track record, that would be a good start.
Yeah.
I would also rule out anybody that's pick an age, but over a certain age and will probably be retiring themselves. If you're 60 years old and your advisor is 60 years old, guess what's going to happen around the time you retire? They're probably also going to retire, or they're going to just stop working and go to Florida for 6 months a year, and that's not great either.
Sure.
So far, I want some experience. I want them to be independent. I want them to be at an age that's going to get me through my retirement. I would look for credentials. I'm a believer in the CFP designation.
Yep.
It's not the only designation. It doesn't mean that every CFP is good or every non-CFP is bad, but I think that's a good starting point. And then lastly, and maybe the biggest thing, is like a personality fit.
Yeah.
Is this somebody that you want to sit down in a conference room 2-3 times a year, have a conversation? Do you trust them? Do they communicate in a way that resonates with you? It's possible they're a great advisor. They know what they're doing. They are very intelligent, but they are just not the person that's going to click with you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which sort of gets back to the idea of brand, like website, brand, building something that's true to you. So like for us, I basically typed and developed our entire website.
Sorry that happened to you.
No, it was great. It was great because I got to tailor it the way that I felt was true to like our brand identity, and shared the message that I thought was important for our financial planning process and who we are as a firm from a value standpoint, I guess I would say. And I've had actually a couple clients who have just found us cold off of Google. Not that our SEO is exceptional or anything like that.
Sounds like it is.
Maybe, but they found us and they said that the message on the website resonated with them. And then when they interviewed us, or when I sat down to do the initial meeting with them, they said that the website was a good reflection of what they actually experienced in the meeting.
Okay.
And for me, that consistency of voice all the way through is incredibly important. And I think that when you lead with something that's authentic to you, when you go to a seminar and you're having that conversation with people, or when your website is aligned with who you are, or when your social media tells people and prospective clients who you are, and then they meet with you and it's the exact same thing, it's exactly what they expected, there's a ton of value there.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what you're saying. This isn't like a shot at anybody, of course, but one of the problems I've had with my current firm is that we have a website that's shared with a bunch of advisors.
Right.
It's how you have to do it. But this next opportunity, being able to build my own website, and you'll read it when it comes out, and like you'll laugh. It sounds like me, for better or worse.
Good.
It's my language, is how I talk. It sounds like me. It's my principles. I hope that clients will have the same experience as if they find me through my website, they read that, and then they come in and they talk with me.
Yeah.
They feel that it's an authentic experience, that you are who you represent yourself as online. So that's an opportunity within all this, and I'm excited for, is to have that voice, the presence, be me.
Good. Yeah, I'm really excited for you. I think it's going to be a fantastic
Thanks, John.
adventure for you.
I'll keep you updated.
This material is for general information and is not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. There is not assurance that the views or strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA and SIPC.